Hello, and welcome to another episode of fellowindhaka, where I recap the previous week of episodes that I have experienced. Last week was the preparation for Christmas, so there was a lot of busy things that were going on. Some things included the university, such as a Victory Day panel, which was very enlightening, seeing all of the different members, both international, local, from high positions, talk about Victory Day. And we watched a documentary, but there were a few issues. One, all of the people that spoke primarily spoke in Bangla, so I wasn't able to understand what they had to say. And the documentary was very nice, but unfortunately, the subtitles, well, not subtitles, but the film was just music with photos, and it was a timeline of everything since the partition down to the creation of Bangladesh. And the problem was that all of the outline points, the dates with all of the information, the scroll was too fast. So it was too difficult to read and keep up with everything, and then try to digest all of that information. So those were a few problems. Another great thing that was able to be done was the international cultural event for the foreign folks on campus. That included staff, faculty, students. So we got together. There were speeches performed. There were dances. I even got to perform. I sang a song by Nat King Cole. It seemed to have gone over well. And to hear from several dignitaries from different consulates, I got the mosquito, was really interesting. One in particular was being able to meet a North Korean student, and they're working in the consulate or embassy here. Yeah, and so it was really nice to meet with them, just to talk, because I had never met a North Korean before, so this was a new experience. And there was, of course, dinner after. North South always feeds you when they have events, so that's always a nice thing. Earlier in the week, I got a chance to socialize with some of the other faculty in the political science department. Dr. Cynthia McKinney, she's really a wonderful lady. We got to talking a lot more, and I got to learn a little bit more about furniture and her partner, and that was a great experience. I got to learn about, I got some ideas for a new dry cleaner and some other things. And over the weekend, I did some reports, but Friday was another interesting and nice day. I got to go to Ramakrishna Mission, and I got to experience a little bit of what being Hindu is like here in Bangladesh, in Dhaka. They have a school, a dormitory, and I was able to meet the headmaster, so to speak, the Maharaj or so. I think that might have been right. But I met him. He's a very nice person. Offered food, but wasn't able to take it. And I met with him that was Saturday. And I got some information from there was one student who was still on campus. Everybody else had left because it's the holiday. But I was able to get some information from him. And it seems like they would like some grammar lessons. Now, I'm not too privy on grammar lessons, but I'll see if I can work that in. I have some ideas on things that we can do, primarily reading short stories or fairy tales, and discussing the morals. But if their level is too low, just maybe start with reading and go from there. Just being able to read might be helpful. Some other things relating to school. The semester has just finished. The final week was last week. And I'm concerned for several of my students because they come from a background where they're used to being told everything. And so they have no critical thinking skills. They have no well, not autonomy, what's the word? They have no ownership, is the closest word I can think of. They don't take ownership for their learning. There's no responsibility. And so accountability, there it is. They have no accountability for for their own learning. And over the course, I've tried to teach that, especially with the help of using rubrics. It really helps. But now the term has ended, a lot of students have suffered because they could not make adjustments, or in some students' cases, they never took the class seriously. And they just waited for the teacher, which is not helpful for them. I held a special class for each class, for 102 and 103 for the intermediate and the intro. I held a 3-hour special session where I gave extra credit for those who came, and I gave that time for anyone who had any questions on what they could do to help improve themselves. So we spent time working on that, and the students did find it helpful. Previously in the week, on the last day of class, I dedicated that class solely to students who had missed an assignment, and I allowed them an opportunity to make that one up. Those who had missed multiple assignments only got to still just make up one, because they had time during the semester. So I cannot help them in that sense. And now the new term will be coming soon. One highlight is that I have booked a holiday. I'll go to Vietnam for a weekend. And I also have going to Rajbury, which is just on the outside of Dhaka, to do some teacher training. And I'm looking forward to doing that. I'll also be able to sit in and see how classes are run. That should be a very interesting and educative moment to see how students learn, to see what materials are present, because looking at the data from a survey that I gave, it seems as if there's a lot of teacher development that's happening, and teachers have access to lots of technology. Yet from the presentations, the way the presentations were given, I was inclined to believe, and not only presentations, but from hearing from other members of the community, leaders, it seemed that there was very little to no teacher development, no training. So I would like to see it firsthand, and by going to a school, that this would allow me that opportunity. So that was my week. It was a good week. It was a busy week. I worked every day. I'm working every day these days, where I'm doing something work related, at least at some point. There is something work related happening. So we'll see how next week goes. The exams should be relatively simple. Those are on Monday, an hour and a half each. And something I'm really excited for is the scheduling for next term, where we get to place our favors for which classes we would like to teach, and see how that works out. So I am shooting for a Tuesday-Wednesday schedule where I can have multiple classes, and this way it'll leave a lot of the rest of the time free. But let's see what happens and go from there. So that was my week. It was a good week. Overall, it's a good week. It's starting to get colder, So as you can see, I've got long sleeve shirts on, I've got my jacket, my blazer. Very different from how we started with just a t-shirt. But they say it only gets cold for a couple weeks. So we'll see how that goes. But right now, I'm enjoying the time and preparing for the holidays. Thank you for staying with me, and stay tuned for the next episode of Fellowindhaka.